Teofimo Lopez questions, do I still got it? Do I still got it, man? What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Teofimo Lopez, man. The takeover has been taken over. Now, I watched this fight yesterday. It was on free ESPN, right? There was a lot of boxing. Pacquiao had an exhibition, Terrence Crawford. But I'm here to talk about Teofimo Lopez. In this fight, Teofimo, he did not dazzle. Now, I will give credit to Teofimo for this. Teofimo Lopez was fighting a late replacement. And we know in boxing, sometimes that could be your undoing, because if you're preparing for said style and then injury, COVID, drug test fail, whatever, and now you have a brand new opponent. But for guys like Teofimo, who had an amateur career, this is nothing new under the sun, because at the end of the day, that's pretty much how the amateurs work, right? You at times don't know who you're fighting next because you don't know who's going to win their seed or whatever the case is. So that still becomes no excuse. But I personally, in the pro game, I give people credit when they didn't have a full camp for this particular style. For example, Pacquiao was supposed to fight Errol Spence, and then it turned out to be Ugas, and he ends up losing to Ugas. Or Anthony Joshua he was slated to fight Gerald Big Baby Miller, and then he failed a drug test, so it ended up being Andy Ruiz, who became the first person to defeat and knock out Anthony Joshua in New York. So this was really no different than one of those fights, because I think Teofimo lost it. Teo, simply put, did not look good to me. I think he was rushing his work. Somewhere along the lines, I feel Teofimo has become power happy and hasty. He's like always trying to look for the knockout. And since we're talking about fights that occurred yesterday, you look at Terrence Crawford. From what I've seen, maybe there was a little slight ring rust. I'll talk about that in another video. But the thing that Crawford does well is there's no wasted energy. Terrence Crawford, when he was fighting David Avanesian, there was no wasted energy. He was just sharp shooting, picking his shots, and not overdoing it. He paced it well. Versus Teofimo, he's rushing in and he's getting hit with check hooks and hitting the temple and dropped, which I also want to talk about. There were two distinct moments where Teofimo was dropped. He got credit, Sandor Martin, he got credit for one of them, but not the other. And some people are saying this is an extremely close fight. That could have been the difference maker if he would have Sandor Martin was properly credited for 2 knockdowns. So this was a blown opportunity and call from the ref. Perhaps the most shocking thing about that fact of Teofimo getting dropped twice is the fact that Sandor Martin is a fighter where, with Teofimo included, he has 43 fights. So entering the Teofimo fight, he had 42 fights and a 30% knockout ratio in all those bouts. He only has 13 knockouts. So we're dealing with the guy who, for all intents and purposes, is more of a boxer and very limited in power. He's not known, he's a southpaw, true, but he's not known as, a southpaw like Errol Spence, southpaw like Terrence Crawford, southpaw like Gervonta Davis, where he's this brute force guy and he's going to knock you out. In fact, in my research, he hasn't had a true knockout since 2017, which was the same time frame where he lost to Anthony Yidgit, which is a guy that Rolly Romero, who Tank fought, had beat by stoppage, Anthony Yidgit. So for Teofimo Lopez to be getting dropped twice, and it absolutely was twice, we can play games and pretend we didn't see it and things like that. But if we're really objectively scoring and being fair, or if boxing were to utilize the instant replay more and adjust accordingly, Sandor Martin should have been credited 2 knockdowns. So that's very troubling for a guy who's only once beaten on paper, Teofimo Lopez, that showed a lot of promise and beat Vasily Lomachenko, and he's getting dropped by a guy with very little power, right? Now, speaking of power, I would be remiss to not explain this to you guys like I do, because I'm the best in the business. Devin Haney is a guy that has frequently called out Teofimo Lopez. And Teofimo Lopez himself and his fan base, his base, have made every excuse under the sun as to why Devin Haney would lose, name called Haney, and given a million excuses as to why it wouldn't play out in Devin Haney's favor should they fight, calling Devin Haney pillow-fisted and feather duster and feather-fisted. But now, all of that, per usual, all that old media jargon is out the window because he just fought a guy who is not undisputed like Devin Haney, is older than Devin Haney, not as renowned as Devin Haney. And if you're going to say Devin Haney has no power, he just fought a guy who, again, older, only had one significant name, Mikey Garcia, after the Errol Spence loss on his resume, and he dropped you with no power. So I think it's safe to say what I'm seeing, it shows that it probably wouldn't have been good for Teofimo if he fought Devin Haney. And this is really a microcosm of what we see with old media in boxing. They want to say this, that, and the third and explain away why certain guys shouldn't be afforded opportunities. Like you look at Canelo and people are like, hey, fight Demetrius Andrade. And then, oh, he's a horrible fighter. This guy's horrible. And fight Jamal Charlo, fight David Benavidez. Oh, Canelo would destroy him. Canelo would knock him out. And then we don't get it. And then you see in the future that Canelo's beatable because he loses to Dimitri Bivol. And it's the same thing on and on and on. You know, people say this and input their opinions, but like Roger Mayweather said, most don't know ish about boxing. They showing the don't, right? You could say and have an opinion, but that doesn't mean that your opinion is knowledgeable, right? So who's to say that Teofimo can beat Devin Haney when you scrape by and you really should have lost to Sandor Martin? You can't say, oh, Devin. I literally, when Devin got rocked by Jorge Linares, it's like 10 seconds. Keep in mind, it was a flawless performance outside of that 1 5-second, 10-second moment, right? People immediately said, oh, if that had been Teofimo, Teo would have did this. But that's not necessarily true, you know? And especially since Teofimo is struggling with the Sandor Martin. So I had to make that point in this video. I was not impressed by Teofimo, and perhaps what's less impressive is his confidence at the moment. I don't know George Kambosos, that loss, if it just took something out of him, but it looks like he's having a difficult time coming to grips with it or whatever the case is, because this was almost like Teo night. He's been known and been billed through Top Rank, and they had clever matchmaking, and he was doing backflips and Fortnite dances on this particular occasion, which was the Heisman night. Now it's a Heisman night where you're expecting these grandiose performances and backflips, and post-fight after Sandor Martin, you know, Teofimo sounds very shook and almost in disbelief. He said, hey, do I still got it? Do I even got it anymore? Like, that was a weird comment from Teofimo. I'm just being real. For the fighter to ask his dad or his trainer, do I still have it, knowing there's potential mics around and you're mic'd up, that's a weird statement, and it shows a troubled mind. And that's not good in boxing, because if you aren't certain of yourself, it's over. You got to believe in this. Like, even me as a YouTuber, okay, I'm not the fighter, but I'm a YouTuber. You got to believe. The belief has to come before the results come. When I first started doing YouTube, I would do videos. At the end of the day, that video been up for 8-9 hours. It had 32 views. So I had to, for some reason, continue to insanely believe in myself that wasn't going to always be my case, that every day I do videos, if I keep at it, I'm not going to be stuck with 32 views by the end of the day. So success, it takes a level of almost insanity, because you have to insanely believe in yourself when the results aren't quite there. So if Teo really believes he won this fight, for him to say what he said, that just doesn't look copacetic to me. You know, do I still have it? I mean, what fighter says that? I've never heard Floyd Mayweather after Castillo fights and Maidanas, De La Hoya, Canelo, Maidana, Hatton. None of them fights did I ever hear a lack of confidence from Floyd or his team. Do I still have it? I mean, that reminded me of Will Smith in The Fresh Prince, that dad scene. I learned how to drive, I learned how to shave, I learned how to fight without him. I had 14 great birthdays without him, and he never sent a damn card. Down with him! Because there ain't a damn thing he can teach me about how to love my kids. How come he don't want me, man? Shut that soft up. Man, he talking about... he talking about, do I still got it? How come he don't want me, man? The great ego Stradamus strikes again. I mean, I've been saying the same thing about Teofimo. I think it's a front. I think a lot of people in this TikTok era do this, where they exude this fake confidence that's almost invincible. And deep down inside, just like everyone else, they got fears, inhibitions, insecurities, and things like that. And I think that was just a moment of weakness and vulnerability. Teofimo will probably be back trash talking, saying this, that, and the third about Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia or whatever else, the usual. But at the same time, that shows a lack of poise and confidence. He showed a lack of patience in his attack with Sandor Martin. And he can say whatever he wants about Devin Haney or whatever the case may be, but at the end of the day, what he won't do and what Top Rank won't do is set up that rematch, because they rarely ever do that unless it's a, special occasion. But I look for Teofimo to just move on. I mean, look what he did with George Kambosos. Kambosos beat you. He talking about fighting Kambosos now after Devin Haney already beat him 2 times. We don't need to see it. So, it's looking in shambles. The takeover is looking in shambles, and you got to pick up the pieces. Pick up the pieces. Let me know what you guys think. Teofimo showing a lack of confidence. I really thought he lost to Sandor Martin. Sandor Martin, keep your head up. I thought he boxed well. There's some people, y'all only get half a bar, but there's some people who saying, oh, Sandor Martin ran. My last question to you is this. If he's a runner and all that, you can't win fights with running. All these things that people are saying to try to cape for Teofimo to make him look better in this given moment, then why is Teofimo saying, do I still got it? Like when he knocked out Mason Menard and beat Comey and made him do the stanky leg, he wasn't asking anybody, do I still got it? So you guys could come up with all the excuses in the world that you want. But the fact that he said, do I still have it, lets me know that he's not okay, and he knows that he lost the fight. Checkmate. Hit him up. Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxing Ego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with the $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new, interactive, and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.